This one is called the Nebula, and it's going to come from a cupid. That's where it's going to start. You can do it on spin, you can do it on static. You don't ever have to take your hands off on a cupid, because I know for some people you just say cupid and they kind of get a little anxiety because they're concerned about their bottom foot slipping. For this one, going into it from cupid, you can either start with your foot on the pole or your ankle because it's coming off. Okay, so whichever one feels more comfortable to you. So let's talk about what's happening with hand position, leg position, everything. You can do it from the ground before you take it up on the pole. Is you're going to go into your cupid. Your top hand, you don't want it right at your knee. Think about like how high do you want to have it so your torso is close to parallel. It might be parallel, it might not be, okay? But think like roughly that height, and that's going to vary a little bit for everyone depending on the length of your arms. Your bottom hand or your outside hand, you're going to drop down and you're going to place it somewhere right about your knee level, okay? I'm going to hold with a true grip, my thumb up. Then I'm going to pull with that top arm, place my knee on there. Once that's on there, then we straighten the top leg. Rehook, pull up to come out, okay? Or move on to whatever other move you want, okay? So hand placement, like I said, that top hand, I want to have it, it's not going to be at my knee, but you also don't want to reach up as high as you can because then you're going to end up sliding. Okay, so you want to be leaning away from the pole with that upper torso because your body might be parallel, it might not, depends on the look you want, depends on what works best for your body proportions, all of those things. Bottom hand, think of placing true grip right about where the knee is, okay? This is a move, I don't find that the spin impacts this one a lot. There are some moves that it feels like it's harder to do on spin or easier on spin, one or the other. This is one I don't really feel a big difference. So really what determines whether you put it on static or spin is going to be your personal preference and your comfort level. Okay, if you feel comfortable on spin, awesome, put it on spin. Okay, so getting into this, you can get into your cupid however you want to. You can drop down into it, you can invert up into it, whichever you prefer. And as I said at the beginning, it can be a cupid with the arch of your foot on the pole or with your ankle. That foot's coming off anyway. So whichever feels most comfortable to you. I will say though, for some people, depending on flexibility, putting the arch of the foot on, sometimes that makes it easier for them to get that leg off to go to the next step. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. If you are doing this and you're putting your ankle on and you're struggling to get that leg off in that transition, try going with the arch of the foot instead of the ankle, and you might find that it's easier in that transition. Okay, so let's look at it all together. Going into that cupid, okay, you don't ever have to let go, but you can. Bottom hand is going to grab right about where my knee is. I'm going to place that knee, resting it on my wrist. And then that top leg extends straight. And that is your Nebula. You can return to your cupid, you can go to a genie, you can climb up, you can climb down, wherever you want to be. Okay? So that bottom hand, the wrist, your knee is resting on it, okay? So your points of contact, bottom hand, true grip, your knee, it might be touching the pole a little bit on the inside of the knee, but mostly it's being supported by resting on that wrist, okay? Your top knee pit is a hold, and then your top hand, okay? So when you do go into this, as much as yes, we're resting our knee on that bottom wrist, don't think of this as one of your primary supports. Otherwise, you're going to do this a couple times and your wrist is going to be hating life, okay? Think about your top arm and your top knee being your lifeline, and then these bottom ones are just supporting actors in your grand scheme of life, okay? So when you transition, make sure you kind of pull down with that top shoulder, add a little extra oomph so that it takes a little more weight off of this bottom arm, okay? So this is the Nebula, gorgeous shape, works on spin, works on static, works great for a photo shoot. Play around with it. If it's feeling comfortable for you, you can do it either from the floor, stepping up into it like we started with, or up on the pole, dropping down into a cupid or inverting up into it. Put it together with some of your favorite moves or just try it out by itself. But let me know how it goes.